These hearing aids might look a little weird, but they are definitely the best hearing aids that Starkey has ever released. It seems like just yesterday that I was doing a detailed review on the new Starkey Evolve AI line of hearing aids that were released back in January of 2022. Starkey has clearly become the hearing aid manufacturer that is releasing new hearing aid technology quicker than all of the other manufacturers, because this new Starkey Genesis AI line of hearing aids is only about 14 months newer than the Evolve AI lineup. But is the Starkey Genesis AI truly the beginning of something new for Starkey, like the name suggests? Well, let's find out. Now, before we get started, I want to make sure that you understand that it does not matter how awesome any hearing aid is unless you've had it fit and programmed by a hearing care professional who follows best practices. That's because best practices are the only way to ensure that you receive the maximum amount of benefit from your hearing aids. Now, if this is the first time that you're hearing me talk about best practices, I highly recommend that you check out my video that I will link in the description. Now, if you would like to find a hearing care professional in your local area who follows these best practices, check out my website, hearingup.com, and find a Hearing Up Network member near you. Hearing Up members are committed to following comprehensive best practices when testing your hearing, selecting your hearing aids, and treating your hearing loss, because you deserve to experience the difference that exceptional hearing care makes. Alright, the Starkey Genesis AI is an entirely new platform from Starkey, meaning it got a complete redesign with new hardware, and it has a new chip called the Starkey Neuro Processor. Starkey is jumping on the deep neural network bandwagon with this particular hearing aid. Deep neural networks are essentially designed to perform deep learning, so the hearing aid can process sound better. But let's start by talking about the different form factors in the Genesis AI lineup. There are two receiver and canal devices with this launch, including the larger rechargeable RT device that has a telecoil and a double push button, and a smaller rechargeable micro RIC with a single push button. They also have their custom Genesis AI devices with a full shell and half shell rechargeable in-the-ear hearing aid, as well as a non-wireless completely in-canal hearing aid and invisible in-the-canal hearing aid that use a size 10 disposable battery. I was hoping that Starkey was going to be the first prescription hearing aid manufacturer to create an invisible in-the-canal device that used a rechargeable battery, but we're not there yet. We also do not see Starkey's wireless completely in-the-canal hearing aid that used a removable string antenna to give you Bluetooth capability with a device that goes completely inside of your ear canal. That particular product was available on the previous generation Evolve AI line of hearing aids, and I do expect them to launch that product inside of this lineup at some point in the future. Starkey has changed their tech levels a little bit. So their top tier premium level offering used to be a 2400, it is now just a 24, and instead of a 2000 it goes to a 20, instead of a 1600 it goes to 16, and instead of 1200 it goes to a 12. Of course, the top tier premium 24 level has the most features and customizations, and these features get reduced each time you go down in technology level, but it also reduced the cost of these devices. And no, I don't know what these devices cost, because that is heavily dependent on where you go to get your hearing treatment and what services are included. The thing I always recommend is that you go at the highest level of technology that you can reasonably afford, and if you cannot afford it, you go down to a lower technology level to the point where you can afford it, and then it's the job of your hearing care professional to maximize your performance with those devices. I must say that there is no guarantee that if you drop down technology level that you'll lose benefit, but there is some potential that you'd be leaving benefit on the table. The Genesis AI line of receiver and canal devices use a new snap fit receiver wire that uses a 10-pin receiver attachment, which means that this receiver will be somewhat future compatible with other technologies that Starkey releases in the future. And I have to say that this is the first thing that I love about these new Genesis AI hearing aids. I was not a very big fan of the receiver wires from pretty much all of Starkey's previous generation technologies, but they've actually slimmed up these receiver wires and they contour a heck of a lot better. In fact, these are probably some of the best physically fitting devices that I've put inside of my ears. So let me get a little bit of a close-up here. You can't really even see that wire at all. This is what it looks like from the side, but that wire tucks so tightly up against the side of my head, basically, that you can't see it at all, and it doesn't feel like it's going to work its way out of my ears. Now, before I get too ahead of myself in terms of what these look like, I've got to say, I think these things look goofy as heck. It almost looks like Starkey was trying to make these things look more futuristic, and in doing so, I feel like they just kind of made them look ridiculous. Now, to be fair, when you put them on, and someone's looking at the hearing aids either from the side or from the rear, I have to say that they really don't look that bad. When you have them in your ears, it's only when you're holding them in your hands that you're thinking, what the heck was Starkey thinking? Now these do come in 7 different colors, so you can match them to your skin tone or to your hair color so they blend in even more, or you can get a color that you just feel like you like. Starkey didn't do anything crazy with their in-the-ear devices. Those look virtually the same as the previous generation releases, and they still have, on the rechargeable versions of these devices, those exposed gold battery contacts that face outward, so they are more noticeable for individuals who look at you. If you get the black color, they look a lot more like earbuds. If you get the flesh tone color, they tend to blend in a little bit more. Now, Starkey is very well known for their custom products. They have a really fantastic lab up in Eden Prairie, Minnesota, and they've been doing custom products for a long time, but not just in-the-ear products, also custom ear molds for the receiver and canal devices. I do love the fact that Starkey accepts both physical ear mold impressions as well as 3D digital ear scans that we can upload right to Starkey so we can get a really fantastic fitting ear mold. The durability of the Starkey Genesis Ai line of hearing aids is still very good because they meet and exceed all of the criteria for an IP68 rating. Starkey definitely invests a lot of time and money on testing and enhancing the durability of their hearing aids. In fact, when it comes to the amount of time and money that Starkey invested developing this new Genesis Ai line of devices, it took 500 plus scientists and engineers over 1 million total hours of time to develop them. So really, it's no surprise that these are the most advanced and best hearing aids that Starkey has ever released to this date. All right, let's go ahead and talk a little bit more about Starkey's rechargeable batteries inside of the Genesis devices. And I have to say that the amount of battery life that you get with these things is crazy. The larger RIC RT hearing aids actually get you up to 51 hours of battery life on a single charge, and the micro RICs get you up to 40 hours of battery life on a single charge. And in some crazy circumstance where 40 to 51 hours of battery life is still not enough, if you pop them back in your charger for 7 minutes, that gives you an additional 3 hours. The charger itself, in my opinion, is better than their previous generation chargers. I like the way that the hearing aids go in here. They kind of go in sideways, but that makes them very easy to put in and take out. They kind of magnetize into place so they don't fall out. And then inside of the well right there, there is plenty of room for custom ear molds, which I love because a lot of my patients wear custom ear molds for the performance benefit that it gives them. And some hearing aid manufacturers do not give you enough room for custom ear molds, so that's really nice that Starkey thought about it. Now let's take a second to go back to the battery life. Starkey was actually able to achieve a higher level of battery life because their new processor chip is so much more efficient. But not only is it more efficient, it is much faster and it has more processing power than their previous chip as well. And this is what allows the hearing aid to perform so much better than their previous generation devices. And one thing I really love about this is that they now have a much higher input dynamic range of up to 118 decibels at its saturation limit. This is very important if you like listening to live music, because unless you have a high input dynamic range, it's very tough for the hearing aid to collect all of the nuances of the music that you're listening to, and it could make music sound like garbage if this input saturation limit is too low. To my knowledge, this number being up to 118 decibels sound pressure level is the highest in the industry. One thing that was also really noticeable to me was that Starkey was able to reduce their circuit noise, and according to them, they've reduced it by 10 decibels, which basically means they cut the circuit noise in half, which is huge. They also were able to take down the noise floor of their microphones by an additional 2 decibels, which got rid of what I call the Starkey hiss. The reason this is so important is that if you have good low frequency hearing thresholds, which a lot of people with hearing loss do, if this noise floor is too high or the circuit noise is too high, you end up noticing this like hissing sound coming from the hearing aids, and it's only if your hearing loss gets worse that you don't notice it. Well, Starkey actually fixed that problem based on my perception with these hearing aids. I've got to say though that I'm not super impressed with the overall noise reduction capabilities of these hearing aids. In fact, when I'm standing in here right now with my air conditioner running, I'm noticing a static noise, and I have the noise reduction set to maximum on these devices. All right, let's go ahead and get into some stuff that you might be a little bit more excited about, which is the Bluetooth connectivity of the Starkey Genesis Ai. Now, I have to say that these are made for iPhone hearing aids, but you can also use them with an Android phone because it uses the Asha Bluetooth protocol as well. Now, the number one thing that I was hoping that Starkey would improve is the Bluetooth connectivity of these hearing aids, and I have have to say that I was not impressed. Now, to be fair, the Bluetooth connectivity and streaming is substantially better with an iPhone, but I happen to be an Android user, and it was an absolute nightmare getting these devices to work with my Android phone, and even when I got them connected, the sound quality and the stability was really bad. Now, it's not like I'm using an ancient Android phone either. I'm using the Samsung Galaxy S21, and after 20 minutes of fighting these hearing aids to pair to my Android device, I was at the gym working out, and the sound quality was so in and out that I just had to take them out and stop using them. Basically what I'm saying is that if Bluetooth connectivity is very important to you as a hearing aid user, you had better make sure that you get an Apple phone with these devices. Now that hurts me to say, because I am primarily an Android user, even though I do also own an iPhone. If you do not want to get an iPhone and you want to keep using your Android phone, I just recommend that you go and get a different hearing aid that works better with Android. On top of that, Starkey really didn't help themselves out, in my opinion, because they got rid of their Stream Boost program that your hearing care professional could specifically customize to control the quality of your audio streaming. Instead, the streaming comes in based on the settings of whatever program you're actually in when you're using your hearing aids, which is not necessarily a good thing. Now, I was able to program a mute program inside of the hearing aids and customize the audio settings for better streaming, but that becomes a huge pain when I'm having to constantly switch between different programs based on whether or not I'm streaming. If you ask me, I think Starkey needs to take at least a few of those engineers and focus them purely on streaming with their next generation devices, because I think they missed the mark on these. All right, let's keep talking about streaming for a minute. So you can connect these hearing aids up to multiple different devices, but you can only have an active connection with one device at any given time. So if you want to switch between your smartphone to your tablet, you have to toggle off Bluetooth on your smartphone and toggle it on your tablet. On top of that, you cannot connect to all Bluetooth things. So you cannot connect to your laptop, you cannot connect to a desktop. It's basically a smartphone and a tablet. Now, to be fair, this is not just a limitation for the Starkey Genesis Ai hearing aids. This is a limitation for all hearing aids that are considered made for iPhone hearing aids that use the ASHA Bluetooth protocol as well. All right, other than the Bluetooth performance, which I am not a fan of, I am a big fan of the new update that they made to the My Starkey app that replaces the Starkey Thrive app. As of right now, the My Starkey app is not compatible with the Apple Watch, which is kind of a bummer, and I don't know if they're going to make it compatible with it in the future. Now, Starkey hearing aids are fantastic hearing aids when it comes to all of the different types of features that you get access to through their app. But I have to say that the new My Starkey app makes this a lot easier to navigate, because their old generation apps were virtually impossible for a lot of hearing aid users. I will say that the new My Starkey app still has a lot going on, but it looks better and it is much easier to navigate, like I mentioned before. Now, I'm not going to review the entire app in this video, but I do want to talk about some of the headline features. First being Edge Mode Plus. If you did not watch my review of the Evolve AI hearing aids, I played an audio sample of Edge Mode and how it improves speech intelligibility in noise. Well, the new Edge Mode Plus is now directly accessible on the home screen of the My Starkey app, and it now uses the deep neural network to focus on either the best sound, enhanced speech, or reduced noise. The app still does tracking of physical activity, hearing, and wellness. You can also set up fall alerts to notify someone that you designate as a contact if you have fallen, so they can contact help for you. And you can add a caregiver to share your health and hearing data with using HearShare, so they can ensure that you're staying active and engaged. Starkey's translation feature now has 71 different languages, up from 20 that it can translate to. So if you need to communicate with individuals who speak a different language, when you speak, they can read the translation on your phone, and when they speak, you can read the translation and hear the translation through your Genesis AI devices. The app still has a self-check mode that can help to identify if your hearing aids are working correctly, or if your devices may have a mechanical issue that requires cleaning or professional maintenance. And you still get telehear, which allows you to have a live remote session with your hearing care professional from the comfort of your own home, so you don't necessarily have to travel into their clinic for certain appointments. The app does have other features as well, but I do want to take a minute to talk about all of the different accessories that Starkey has that can dramatically improve your hearing performance with these devices. These include a mini remote microphone, a remote mic plus, a table microphone, the remote, and TV streamer that have an increased range from 32 feet all the way up to 40 feet now. Alright, so what are my overall thoughts about the new Starkey Genesis Ai? Well, I have to say that I really love the improvements that Starkey has done with these hearing aids, and I stand behind my comment that these are definitely the best hearing aids that Starkey has ever released. I would have really liked to see better Bluetooth connectivity and stability, particularly with Android devices, but I will say that the Genesis Ai hearing aids are definitely good enough hearing aids to convince you to switch to an Apple device if Bluetooth streaming is important to you. I definitely love the physical fit due to the new receiver wires. I'm not super crazy about the looks of these hearing aids, but I love that they also increase the input dynamic range for people who enjoy music. And I like the enhancements to Edge Mode with the new Edge Mode Plus, and of course, the extra long battery life. And even though I was capable of operating Starkey's old apps, I am super glad that they changed to the new My Starkey app that simplified a lot of things for a lot of individuals. So if you're looking to treat your hearing loss for the first time, or you're looking to upgrade your hearing aid technology, you would be silly not to at least consider the Starkey Genesis Ai.